While we were down in Florida for Sick Week, there was a lot of talk amongst the kids about the El Camino. It was almost the perfect vehicle for us, except for two things: the brakes and power, or lack thereof. Tommy and Allison were using the El Camino to film from and haul camera equipment, as well as the cooler and fuel jugs full of E85 for my Malibu, since E85 isn't as readily available as pump gas for the 55. Anyway, the kids' major complaint was lack of power and my plan to put a small block Chevy in it when we get back home.
You've probably done that like 70,000 times in your life.
And I'm going to do it 70,000 more if I get the opportunity. The kids always seem to be trying to get me to embrace newer technology, newer engines, and fuel injection, but for what I'm doing, I don't need it, and I'm not interested. As far as I'm concerned, the lower the fuel pressure and the less wires I have to deal with, the better off I am. So as you probably already know, I live my life pretty simply. I like simple things. I rely on simple things to get me through a very complicated world. It's just my way. So when everyone explains to me how I should live in the now and I should embrace technology, I should embrace the world I live in today, I should get fuel injection, I should do this and I should do that, and I should eat my steak a certain way, you know what? No, I don't have to live that way, and I won't. I don't need to overcomplicate my life to make it better. I don't need fuel injected cars, and I don't need electronically controlled suspension. Case in point is this late model BMW that we borrowed while we were in Florida. While the kids jumped at the opportunity to drive this thing, its electronically controlled air ride suspension quickly drove home my point about overcomplicating simple things. Now previously, Tommy had been riding around in a 1965 El Camino all week that literally rides like a Cadillac without electronically controlled suspension. It seems like everyone's in a hurry to overcomplicate their lives these days, mostly due to misconceptions and lack of knowledge. What are you doing here?
Watching some drag racing.
Are you really?
I'm changing it up.
I met up with Taylor Ray at Orlando Speed World last week to talk about his Monte Carlo build he's got.
See what happens. Like I said, the farthest I've gone is just up and down the road. So this will be a little bit further, and then if it works out, then we can go a good bit further. We just gotta make sure this thing's dialed, because driving through car show traffic, stop and go traffic, sitting at stoplights, it gets busy.
Taylor's Monte Carlo still has its original small block Chevy carbureted engine in it, but Taylor's not familiar with carbureted small block Chevys, as well as he is fuel injected LS engines like the one in his Vet. You are in our world now.
That is true.
Admittedly, it can be difficult to grasp concepts you're not familiar with.
Where are we?
Out of our element. The drag strip's over there. I feel like
Yeah, I'll see you later.
it's got a turbo LS. We know that.
Reluctantly, I went over to meet Taylor and look at his Corvette, and it just so happens he was having fuel injection problems when I walked up.
It's fuel injection problems.
What?
I'm losing a whole bank randomly.
It's not possible, Taylor. Fuel injection is the best thing ever.
I mean, I would have said so until today.
Mr. Fuel Injected LS, would you like to take a ride around the block in a carbureted small block Chevy?
Oh, I'm down.
When you think carbureted small block Chevy, what do you think of?
Here's exactly what I think of. When I was younger, every carbureted small block Chevy I rode in that made 500 felt like it made about 250. I had a friend with a Datsun that made 500, and that thing was slower than like a Miata. Every single one I ever rode in, I've never ridden in a fast carbureted car in my life.
Well, I wouldn't say this is a fast
But
carbureted
you know what?
car.
I'm talking like 250 wheel kind of carbureted cars is what my experience is.
Oh, no.
I've never been in a good running, quick carbureted car.
Well, let's go for a ride.
All right, let's do it.
You're driving.
Oh, the G-body light.
The G-body life. Listen, you're working on that Monte Carlo. I know. I was watching the video.
I know. It's
right?
the same door handle and everything.
Yeah. Your grandma's Monte.
Yep.
You're trying to figure out what you're doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you trying? You're trying to get me to convert over to a small block Chevy?
Well, I'm just saying. I want you to give it a fair shake. Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's go for a ride.
Oh, see, I got something. Oh, I forgot you have AC.
You're in overdrive, my man.
Oh yeah, you have the 700 R4.
Oh yeah. The other thing that people say can't be done.
I know this thing's done really well with the 700. I'm surprised because I heard bad things about 700.
Oh yeah, bad things about carburetors,
My
bad
first
things
car
about
had a
700.
and I was told they didn't make.
I think that's what your Monte Carlo has, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. It's got something. The pan looks different. I am not versed in automatic transmissions.
It might be a 204R.
I think that's what it is. Or a turbo 350R. Is that a thing?
No.
Oh my god. That's pretty impressive. No hesitation, no
None.
stumble, no nothing.
None.
That's
And you didn't even get it wide open.
No, not even. This guy behind me was looking at me like I was crazy. This thing
on point.
The AC is nice.
Listen, we streetcar for real.
I know, you got a streetcar for real. There's too many people that say they have a streetcar and they don't have a streetcar. They have a race car that is street legal. Here, you can have anything.
Right.
Street legal. So saying something's street legal doesn't mean much.
How about that power steering?
The power steering is nice. I
How
like
about
the steering wheel too.
Yeah. Power brakes. I got them hot boys on there, baby.
I know. How does that work with power assist? It's fine.
Yeah.
Because I know, like most people, like with dry brakes, probably have manual brakes, right?
Right. This has got power brakes, which I wouldn't necessarily say that you need those, but it is convenient for riding around in it.
Yeah.
Traffic.
No, it's nice. You barely press it and you're stopping. Oh yeah, this is nice. I love this bench seat. It's comfy. And with the tent and the AC.
Yeah.
This is nice.
All right, we're gonna crack it again.
You ready?
This is from a dead idle, right?
Yeah, that's
Hit it.
It's good.
There's no hesitation.
That was pretty good. Pretty good. This thing's nice, dude. This is a nice car. People think like making a car go fast is hard, and it is. But what's harder is making a car go fast and still drive nice and be comfortable.
Yes.
That is the hardest part.
That's why I like ATM carburetors, man. They make me look good because I don't know what I'm doing.
They work great out the box. So, but yeah, just like getting a car to be nice and comfortable is really difficult.
Yeah.
I've learned over time.
Yes.
So you did a good job.
Thanks,
it's a nice
man.
car.
Thank you. Typically, when people have trouble with carburetors, they figure when they bolt the carburetor on, it should work right out of the box without any tuning to any other part of the engine. They totally disregard ignition timing, and that's where a lot of people get in trouble. Although we're headed home from sick week, we'll be back in Florida in 2 weeks for a no-prep race at Immokalee. So if everything works out, I'm going to have Taylor make some passes in my Malibu when we come back, as long as our tow vehicles hold out. Well, it's cold, and we got a little problem here with the truck too. Before we left for sick week, Tanner put new brakes on the front of Bob's dually for me. We lost a hubcap on the way down, but on the way home, we damn near lost the whole wheel. But we stopped and tightened the wheel, counted our blessings, and celebrated not dying. We managed to drive straight through from Cocoa Beach, Florida, straight back to Ohio without any major problems. And after spending a week in Florida having a fantastic time, I was eager to get home and get back to normal and get to work. We've still got work to do on the Falcon out in the back shop, but the Falcon isn't the only project that's been ongoing while we were gone. While we were at sick week, Vicky rounded up some help back home and moved all of the merch area, equipment, and shelves from the old shop up front out to the back shop and moved it into the new merch area. With the help of Addie and her mom and dad, Thing 1 and Thing 2 from A1, and Sebastian, our friend from Hebron. Vicky's pretty excited. She's been waiting on this day for a long time. We've been out of room in the old shop, so this will allow us to stock a lot more merchandise and allow us to get merch orders shipped out much more efficiently. But shipping merchandise isn't the only thing we need to make improvements on.
Looks like a rolling disaster. You got dents there. You got no lug nuts there.
That's not my fault. That happened. Billy backed into the 64 before we ever even left. Today I need your help. We got to take the 55 and the Malibu and drop them off at Jack's Wax. They're in the enclosed trailer, and you're the only one skinny enough to shimmy in there and open the door and get in them. I also need a little bit of help with this situation.
Yeah, it looks like somebody put the wheel on and didn't torque the lug nuts down.
Well, I don't think Jeremy's wrong in his assessment. Since the GMC isn't road ready, we're going to have to use Billy's truck and clean it out just so we can get in the cab to take the cars into Jack's Wax and drop them off. And on our way to town, we had a lengthy discussion about maintenance.
Have you checked the other front wheel?
Why would we do that? It never made the steering wheel wiggle. Literally coming through the mountains in West Virginia, and every time I'd have to make a right-hand turn, the steering wheel would start to wiggle, and it made this really weird sound. Almost like the wheel was falling off.
If you don't torque the lug nuts down and you got aluminum butt wheels up front, they tend to expand and contract.
Is that the technical problem we're having?
That's the technical problem. You're supposed to use a torque wrench, not ugga-duggas.
Well, when Steve comes back to work tomorrow, I'll have to ask him how many ugga-duggas he put on the wheels. Jeremy then calls up Mark at A1 to order some new lug nuts.
What's wrong with them? They're missing.
I felt pretty confident Jeremy had things under control by the time we got to Jack's Wax and went to unload the cars. Both of these cars are extremely dirty. Although Florida is absolutely beautiful in the wintertime, there was a lot of sand and dust everywhere we went. So it's the color of dirt.
That's okay. We can make dirt shiny.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty rough. For original paint, it's pretty rough.
I don't know. I see some good stuff in it.
You think you can do something with it?
I know we can.
It definitely needs a spa day after what it went through in Florida. Part of the reason that my car is so dirty is because it spent most of its week behind this car. And the exhaust system on the 55 blows dust everywhere. And thankfully, the guys at Jack's Wax are willing to help us get these cars whipped back into shape. Well, Buckwheat, you about ready to go home? I got another project for you, a couple of projects actually. We had a little mishap with a log truck.
You killed the camera again.
It wasn't my fault. I was just hovering and the log truck hit me.
Don't play in traffic.
Its replacement also needs a little help. It's a palm tree got in the way. All right, let's get back to the shop so we can get busy fixing everything else that's tore up. The next item on my list today is to get the El Camino taken up to the body shop. Typically, I would just go ahead and take the El Camino up to House of Pearls on the trailer, just like it sits, but not until we get that taken care of. Luckily, it has rained almost every day since we left home for Florida, so the roads have been washed clean of all the salt brine and salt dust that normally would be all over the roads in February. Evidently, I'm not the only one dropping off new projects up at House of Pearls. I haven't been up there because we've been waiting on sheet metal to show up for the 55, and they don't want to cut the car apart until all the sheet metal is here and accounted for, so that once they get started on it, they can finish it. Along with a pair of brand new quarter panels, there's also a complete one-piece floor pan and a trunk pan, new rocker panels, inner and outer wheel houses, and pretty much anything and everything we need to make the sheet metal on the 55 like the day it was new. Now, obviously, they're staying pretty busy up at the body shop, so I'm incredibly thankful that they're willing to bring the El Camino up there and get on it right away. Paul went out and took a look at it and verified that we definitely do need a new fender. They also found a handful of other little spots on the car that they'd like to get touched up while it's here. Nikki, when I was on the way up here, I literally said I just about bet when I get here they're going to be like, let's just start from scratch. And
you were a little right.
You were headed that direction, weren't you?
Yeah, a little bit. You start looking around and you'll find at least one thing on every panel.
Oh yeah.
It looks really good.
No, it's a nice driver.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's a nice driver.
Yes, sir.
With the 55 and the Malibu in at Jack's Wax getting cleaned up and the El Camino delivered to the body shop, we need to get started on Jimmy Dale's car and verify why it overheated.
Still alive. Still ugly though.
Jimmy suspects that there's a head gasket blown on the Monte, so I called in the leading cooling system technician in Licking County. Actually, it's just Uncle Bucko riding around in a 31 Model A 5-window coupe that he and my father have purchased to build a street rod out of. Buckwheat just so happened to be out test driving this Ford when I called to ask if I could borrow his cooling system pressure tester. Now, just real quick, I would like to take note that this is the guy that preaches lack of maintenance to me. He's literally riding around with chicken wire above his head and tires dry rotted so bad you could throw a cat through them. Well, let's see what the hell's going on with this thing. I don't know whether it's got a head gasket or whether the thermostat's stuck. I figured we'd do a pressure test on it first and just see what comes up. So what's the scoop? Is it holding?
It's holding. The radiator's full. It's been pressured up for about 15 minutes now. If it was going to drop off, it should have dropped.
All right, well, I guess we'll fire it up and see what it sounds like. Okay, let's see here. There's ignition. Well, I don't know what these other two switches do. Well, then there's no fan on. I got the key on, and he's got some kind of, I don't know what you call this. His wiring leaves a lot to be desired. Okay, the fuel pump works, but these other two switches light up, and I don't hear a fan running. Maybe we better check for power out there on the fan, huh?
Oh, wait a minute. Electrical fire was.
All right. It's been Jimmy Daled.
I don't know if technically this is a Jimmy Dale thing. I don't know if it's been Jimmy Daled or whether it was previously Jimmy Daled before Jimmy Dale bought it. I have questions about that.
Do we have a test light in here? We got nothing on the test light here.
Did we test the test light to make sure it works?
Not yet.
So, where did you say, I haven't seen it, but like where's the wiring all. Oh.
And this goes directly to the fan. So.
Oh, that's real nice. That's real nice.
There's about 6 different colors of wire here between there and this relay, which I have a feeling.
Get some light on this scenario so that we can actually see what we're trying to look at and see what we're trying to film, huh?
Zip tie central.
What?
And everywhere. So here's these. What the who use speaker wire to wire the fan up?
I told you it'd been Jimmy Daled.
No, I don't think Jimmy did this. Boy, look at that. That is a freaking mess.
That one's a little burnt.
You got power to it.
Power to it, but the relay ain't clicking enough.
It may have burnt the relay up. I'd at least like to know whether the fan works. You know, if we got to replace the fan.
You just turn the water pump on with that.
Wait, starter activated when I touched the wires.
What?
I touched this from the power to the burnt wire in the fan, and then the starter went turk.
Watch the water pump move.
I don't know if it'll do it again. I just did it.
Dude, he literally drove this car here from North Carolina at one point.
Nothing was wrong with it.
My car's got like 3 wires.
Well, your car also goes 20 miles an hour.
For right now. It's going to be putting some dings in you mofos.
No, you're not. So what's the plan? You've got your freaking chicken wire coop out there. We're going to call it the chicken coop.
No.
Yeah, the chicken coop.
You're talking about G bodies, A body. A stands for awesome. G stands for, I'm not going to say it.
So your chicken coop out there goes, what, 20 miles an hour right now, wide open throttle?
No.
It took you 10 minutes to get here from your house? Oh, it will. Yeah. Downhill in a hurricane?
No, it'll do 50 with round tires.
I'll bet. As opposed to the square tires it's got on it right now?
Yeah, they're a little flat.
So you're going to put a small block Chevy in it?
327.
Yeah.
I got to take it up to Bob's. He took off before I got up there.
So we're going to go through that 327, and we're going to put 327 in it. You're wanting to put a 5-speed in it? Mm-hmm. I better get a hold of Hamlin and tell him I need another 5-speed.
I already looked up the suspension. It'll cost me $600 for the 4-link kit for the back. And then I got to put a Ford 9-inch under it, and then it's $2,600 for the drop front axle, all chromed out. Or Mustang 2, but I'm not real. I don't much care for the Mustang 2s, but we'll see. I kind of like the straight axle better.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is now Thursday morning, and I am headed to Jegs. I'm going to go in and pick up a cooling system relay kit from Jegs for not only Jimmy's Monte Carlo, but my Malibu as well. My Malibu, the fans just turn on with a key, and they run all the time, whether they need to or not. And I think that's part of the reason why I have so much trouble burning up alternators on that Malibu. I'm going to rectify that situation. I'm going to go ahead and get 2 of these kits and 2 sensors, and we're going to get Jimmy's Monte Carlo done first. I pulled it in the back shop last night after we determined what was wrong with it, so we could bring the 64 C10 into the front shop so that we can get the taillights and turn signals fixed on that. Tanner's back at the shop working on that right now. In other news, last night I went and picked up a fender for the El Camino. I was lucky enough to find somebody local to me that had a decent rust-free 65 fender, an original GM fender. So I need to take that up to House of Pearls, and then also I need to run up to the farm and pick up a set of original GM front fenders that my dad bought for the 55 years ago. They've been up in storage since the 70s. So I need to go pick those up and take that front fender for the El Camino and the 55 Chevy fenders up to House of Pearls today. Although I think we've got a pretty good handle on what's wrong with Jimmy Dale's Monte Carlo, we won't know until we get this fan to work properly and fire the car up and test drive it. I highly doubt that the fan and the wiring up in the front of the car is the only electrical problem in it, but we'll just tackle one thing at a time. I got back from Jegs just in time to catch a glimpse of Paige walking in the house and to help Tanner wrap up the finishing touches on the taillights and turn signals on Vicky's 64 C10. Once Tanner tidied up the wires underneath the bed, he set the 64 back on the ground, and I loaded up the fender for the El Camino and headed straight up to the farm to pick up the old fenders for the 55 Chevy that Dad's been storing since the mid-70s. Dad purchased these at a swap meet in Memphis, Tennessee in about 1978, and they've been in storage ever since. So with all 3 fenders loaded up in the back of the 64, I drove north out of Granville to go see everybody up at the body shop. They were outside working on stripping this Barracuda, one of the newest projects delivered to the shop in the last week or two. When I walked in, I was shocked that they've already started on the El Camino. Thankfully, the headlight bezel survived and so did the hood, and Nikki's already started polishing the hood to match the paint that will be on the new fender once it's installed. After I got done up at the body shop, I headed back home to prepare for the work that we needed to get done on Friday morning. And the first thing on the list is Jimmy Dale's Monte Carlo.
So I got this thing up on the lift, and it made a weird noise when the rear end came off the ground. I just left it alone. Got to getting on this wiring mess they got going on up here, and then I just hear something fall out from the back side of this car. And I was like, what the heck? I don't think that is supposed to fall out from under this car.
Clearly, old Frosty's got more problems than just cooling system issues, but we'll deal with them one at a time. So evidently this thing had a temp sensor. That would be the sensor. And the sensor was just shoved into the radiator in between the fins. Definitely not the best kit I've ever seen to turn a fan on and off, and definitely not the best wiring. This leads to tragic events. Instead of using a switch under the dash, I locate a wire in the factory harness that turns on with the key switch. All right, so I think we've got a game plan here as to how we're going to route these wires and tackle this situation. But I do need to go down to Mark's and get some material. So I think since the weather's so nice today, I'll take the black car. Now, I bought the Monte Carlo about 2 weeks ago, but the weather back then was so bad that I didn't dare take it out on the road. But today the roads are clear, it's over 60 degrees, and so it's a perfect opportunity for me to take my first test drive and see how well the car handles. This car has 84,000 original miles on it, so it's not quite as tight as my Malibu. And of course it still sets its stock ride height and still utilizes all of its stock rear trailing arms and what appear to be the original shocks. So it's definitely got the G-body feel to it, along with a touch of personal luxury. I can't wait to get started on it, but for now, Jimmy's comes first. I need some heat shrink and some wiring materials to fix up Jimmy Dale's car.
You want that by the bulk?
Whatever you do, put it on his tab.
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding.
We can do that.
All right. Yeah. For the 9 millionth time, I've got a package of heat shrink and sheathing.
Yes.
And it stays in my shop, and nobody's allowed to know that I got it.
Well, I won't tell anybody.
By Friday afternoon, Tanner and I had the Monte Carlo all back together, and it was time to fire the engine up and let it warm up to test the fan and see if it would kick on like it's supposed to. And although the cooling system passed a pressure test, we still don't know if the thermostat may be sticking as well. So we let the Monte Carlo sit in the shop with the door open and warm up. And while it's warming up, we figured we might as well tackle this problem with the rear coil springs. This damn thing's got coilover springs, but it doesn't have coilover shocks. It's got coilover springs stuck on the stock perches. They just fall out.
So now that the wrong spring's in it, I gotta lay under it while you let it down so I can put the springs where they belong.
Now we're gonna have to go ahead and get the correct springs, some lowering springs from Jigs.
Yeah.
We can't send that out like that.
Especially now with Modell driving.
I can't believe he drove that thing all the way from North Carolina like that. Can you imagine? That's a slight problem. Good job, Steve-O. We can't let this thing go out of there with those springs like that. I'm gonna call Terry at Jegs and see if he can find me some lowering springs, the correct springs. It's got coilover springs in the stock perches.
Yeah, and they just fell right out. Like imagine if you go over a hard enough bump, that thing's just gonna fall right out.
Yeah, I mean the
place.
springs would literally just fall out from underneath the car and it would drag.
Yep. It's making noises already.
Neither of us felt comfortable test driving that car, so I managed to find a test dummy to do it for us. Well, 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 what do I owe the pleasure to have you join us today?
Well, after 4 emergency calls from Chump Hole in the last day and a half, I figure I better check and see what's going on over here.
Why does Chump Hole call you?
I don't know. You might make him nervous.
We just finished getting that thing all fixed up, getting the cooling system fixed. You want to take it around the block, test drive it for me?
I suppose.
Don't wreck it.
It could only improve it.
As Jeremy got in this death trap, me and Tanner sat back with bated breath and waited for the phone to ring. I figure we've got about a 50-50 shot at this thing coming home on a tow rope.
Look at me, I'm Jimmy Dalen. I don't even have to buy a ticket. Seems to be maintaining. We'll see once I turn around here. Look at me, I'm Jimmy Dalen.
By all accounts, it appears that the little small block Chevy in Jimmy's Monte Carlo has survived its overheating incident. But it's far from being roadworthy until we get a new set of wheels on it and at least get the springs put in the back end of the car that belong under it. So the thing drives good, huh? No trouble?
I didn't say that. I said it doesn't overheat. Driving good is a whole nother scenario.
Oh, because we noticed there was a couple little problems when we had it on the lift earlier. We were wondering if you noticed anything when you took it up the road.
Yeah, it sounds like someone's shooting the quarter panel with a BB gun. Ting, bang, ting.
What?
Yeah.
Maybe there's shit falling off of it.
Then you gotta get on it and it feels like the rear end's going sideways. I don't know. The steering wheel's up like this. It's a no prep car.
No, it's not. It's a Jimmy Dale car.
There's no preparation, so it's a no prep car.
Check out the driver's side front wheel.
Yeah, I seen that. He did that.
Who did?
Jimmy.
He did it?
He did it. I asked him about it. He knew all about it.
What's going on there, Squirrely?
Just enjoying my office.
Your new office. You're officially moved in.
Can you believe it?
I can't.
Like pinch me. Today was the first day that Allison and I actually worked out here together. And we were just like, it's so bright and just clean and no fumes. They were running cars over there. We didn't smell a thing.
Good.
It was so nice.
So you guys are happy.
Very.
You got your new desk set up.
Yes, yes. I mean, I've got my printers, my desk set up. We've got some shelves. We're going to upgrade to some more bigger shelves as we go down the road. But can we talk about Vickyville down there?
Vickyville.
It's a work in progress, but my storage area down there, but they're going to look like little vintage shops.
Vickyville.
Yeah. It's not done yet, but I can't wait to show people when it's all done.
In other news,
we haven't talked about the giveaway because y'all were gone busy
right,
traveling.
yeah. We've been in Florida. Bob's been in Florida. We've all been in Florida.
But
the giveaway is still ongoing for the Devil Dog engine.
Yeah. The LS Junkyard ordeal there.
The LS Junkyard ordeal. The Junkyard Dog 5.3 LS motor that's still up at Bob's on the dyno.
Yep.
Bob's coming back tomorrow, and we'll be back at the machine shop Monday, and we're not giving up on the fuel injection crap. Bob wants to put a different intake on it and try the EFI again and see if he can make more power than my carbureted setup.
Competition.
We'll see. What do you got here, Squirrel?
Well, I just wanted to show people we've already got some of the first wave of orders that people that ordered, the first few days, got some of that in, and we got a bunch of those orders out today. But I want to show them what it looks like, the 55 and the
Unfortunately,
Nova.
you didn't get to use your El Camino because I screwed that all up.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
That.
I'm getting it fixed.
I filmed us loading today, and I mentioned that. I said, this isn't exactly the male Camino. Now, this isn't exactly the male Camino, but we'll get there.
The male Camino is down.
Camino. Yes, it's down.
Thanks to me.
But anyway, so people, you have till the end of February, and every order gets you a chance to get.
And it's pretty much anything on the website, but these
these
designs are all pre-order. Now, some of these are already in; they're already sold. They're going out as fast as we get them in. But basically anything on the website this month gets you entered to win that Junkyard Dog 5.3 that's up here at Uncle Bob's.
Yep.
Hey, check that out! I never noticed that. Look at the 5.3 LS on the cross flags. That's pretty cool.
And we
Constant
got-
Design did a bang up job on that stuff.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
we've got the tumblers back. We've got the blue one. We've got the one with the 55 on it.
I
We've
like
got-
those because the ice stays in there for like 3
Oh,
days.
Yeah, super cold.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got the tumblers. Check it out, and you have till the end of the month. So
Is that it?